Let's try this again.
You heard it right. Nearly 25% lives here at 33 Liberty Street. Today, a hefty deposit is on its way in, and this driver is the first line of defense. For obvious reasons, we can't really tell you his name, but he's not alone. His partners are armed, and the vehicle itself is like a vault on wheels, able to withstand bullets, even hand grenades. Delivery is a well-choreographed and deadly serious exchange between the driver and the Federal Reserve's police force. This small stack may not look like much, but if you tried to put it in the back of your car, you'd blow out the tire.
There are a lot of guns here right now. It's kind of nerve-wracking to be around it.
The gold is met at the loading dock by the Fed's vault auditor and its custodians.
We have over a ton of gold right here, and street value today is over $55 million.
Are you still into gold? Like, does gold have an effect on you emotionally, or are you sick of gold?
You never get sick of the gold.
Yeah, really?
It puts a smile on people's faces when they come down to see it, and even puts a smile on our face when we're down there working with it. Just never loses its luster.
Our camera crew is making normally smooth exchange a little hectic. They're obviously a little nervous about it because this is a first. There's not a lot of hanging out with the gold and just sitting here. After sorting out who's allowed to go inside with the cameras, they get down to the business of making the deposit. There's an almost sacred ritual that handlers go through when moving gold. It's all very quiet and solemn. The armored truck company's drivers are fully responsible for the gold as they descend 80 feet below street level to the world's largest underground gold vault. Only at the entrance does it officially become the key of the New York Fed. And this is the way it's been done since the Fed first opened the vault in 1924. The New York Bank is one of 12 that make up the Federal Reserve System. Together, they're like the ultimate piggy bank, a place where your bankers bank. And if there's a financial panic, the Fed acts as a lender of last resort. That creates a kind of trust in the entire system. So from the beginning, Fed banks were built to look imposing, like fortresses of money. The New York Fed's vault rests on bedrock to handle the weight of the gold. Engineers dreamed up an ingenious way to guard it. A 90-ton steel cylinder that revolves vertically in a 140-ton steel and concrete frame. When it rotates, it drops 3/4 of an inch to create an air and watertight seal. No one person is given all of the combinations or keys to the various locking systems, so someone is always watching. So now there's 3 of you. It takes 3 people to open the door.
2 vault custodians and an auditor.
Welcome to about a quarter of the world's official gold supply. Just one of these bars is worth $640,000. So we're talking upwards of $380 billion. The bars are weighed on a good old-fashioned balance scale.
Once everything's on,
Yeah.
you're gonna turn the crank.
Okay, okay.
It's gonna be a little, not that difficult, but a little bit, because all that weight will be on it.
It's a critical step because each bar is slightly different, making each deposit unique. The scale measures down to 1/100th of an ounce. That's about 1/3 of a paper bill. Still, that's worth about $17. Ron here has stood as guardian of the gold for 40 years.
This is the year which the bars were cast. This is the purity. And this is the maker of the bar, the assayer. And this is a serial number. Each bar has to have its own serial number.
What happens if you drop a bar like this?
On your feet. If you don't have this on, you'll be in the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm about to pick up $640,000. That is a life-changing sum of money. Whoa, whoa. It is so much heavier than you think it's gonna be.
Gold is very dense.
Wow. So whose gold are we handling right now?
Country, central bank.
Do you know? I mean, can we?
Well, we can't tell.
You can't tell me.
No.
I see. There are rules about that kind of thing.
The Fed's discretion and intense security are so trusted that few depositors have ever even asked to see if their gold is still here.
So let's say that, one of these bars got out of the vault, God forbid, and out into the street, and somebody melted it down. Would there be any way of identifying this gold again?
Not if they melted it down.
No.
But if they tried to sell it like this here, they would find out.
For thousands of years, people used gold as money. And why not? It's shiny, it's pretty, and like the man said, once you melt it down, it's untraceable. Or put another way, it's the perfect recyclable money. One of the places where this precious metal is given new life is New York's Diamond District.
On these two blocks of New York, $24 billion in cash changes hands every year. We've negotiated access to get behind the storefronts to see how everybody from low-end street dealers to high-end brokers are dealing in gold.
Hello. Hello, how you doing, sir? Very good.
Alexander Rogovsky has a hefty chunk of that 24 billion inside his bag.
Got some gold, got some silver bar.
He has gold to sell, a lot of it, and he's about to find out what it's all worth.
I was wondering if you can tell me what I can get for this. Is this 14?
Dmitry Nijinsky is one of hundreds of brokers who work New York's gold district. Business is booming. When there's a financial crisis, people tend to look for security in gold.
It is 18 karat.
Yeah, it goes up and down, but now it's better than other times because it just came up from 1,500, so you're selling it at the right time.
In 2010 alone, the price of gold hit record highs 22 times.
You pay $10 for your gold.
The gold comes in from all walks of life, so it helps that Dmitry can speak 5 languages.
You come back here, okay? $14,064 for 14 karat gold. Then you have 10 karat gold, I can give you $1,800 for that.
The coin, this coin is the pure gold, right?
So this is $20,900. I'll give you $11 difference so you can come back to us.
Thank you very much.
Dimitri?
Yes, hi.
I'm Jake.
Hi, how are you?
You,
Nice to meet
To
you.
meet you. Thank you for having me.
Sure.
How much do you see in a day? How many people come through here?
The day depends. It could be anywhere from 5 to 50, 70 people a day.
What happens to the gold once you got it? Right? You buy a day's worth of gold. What do you then do with it?
Once we buy gold, let's say we buy, this is about $25,000 worth of gold.
Okay.
Once we buy this gold, we melt it down to a small brick, and then we have it tested and sell it.
Can I watch you?
Sure, definitely.
I'd like to see it.
Now, most of the jewelry we have is 14 karat.
The nooks and crannies of the gold district are full of places like this. Millions of dollars flow in and out. Some, like Dimitri's, even have a foundry in the basement.
How are you, my friend? Oh, oh my God, this is it.
So why do you think that guy would be drilling into that gold bar? Solid what? Yeah, exactly. To see if it was solid, because a scammer might take a chunk of lead and just coat it with gold and try to get away with it.
The mayor, isn't it?
Please, none, I wanted to know. Not ready? Okay.
It's kind of an amazing thing, right? Like, this is, people's memories, their treasured heirlooms. Some of it was in the ground 1,000 years ago. Some of it was a pair of earrings 1,000 years ago. Now it's all been melted back down again, and someday it will be somebody else's heirloom. It's crazy how liquid this really is. So, are you sick of gold? I mean, do you still like the look of gold?
I love it.
You do?
I love it. Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, definitely. Who doesn't?
The gold that leaves here is recast and reborn as another person's treasure, continuing to make money along the way. And sometimes that treasure is a lot closer than you think. Every couple of hours, trillions of dollars change hands. All that money used to be backed by gold, but not anymore. Today, our buck is backed by a promise from the US government. The fact that it all works based on trust alone is simply taken for granted.
Hi, good morning.
I'm trusting this driver with my money and my life, right? I'm trusting that he's not going to cheat me. I'm trusting he's going to take the fastest and most efficient route possible. And I'm trusting him not to kill us both.
Ooh. That kind of trust is at the heart of the financial world. The whole system is built on the assumption that our cash and our credit cards and even our bank accounts are worth something.
But what I want to know is, who's in charge?
I've come to Washington, D.C. to meet the head of the entire Fed system.
He's been dealt some of the most difficult cards.
Now that fellow that's shown in the video right here is a guy named Ben Bernanke. He is no longer he's no longer the head of the Fed. That's a rotating position that's usually somewhat political because it's an appointed position. So I'm sorry for you guys that just joined in the middle of that. I apologize. I don't know what was going on with the video link for the Zoom class. So there's much more of this video that we might watch another time. But I'm going to pause that for a second. And I want to show you, let's see. Hopefully you guys will be able to read this. What we were talking about before was the functions of money, the 3 functions of money. Talked about the barter system, whether or not money was portable. Things were portable. If you look at that video and the amount of gold that was exchanging hands and being melted down and that sort of thing, it's very portable. but it loses its shape and its configuration. Then we talked about all this stuff here with the Federal Reserve Bank, what the Fed does. They are in charge of monetary policy. They manage the amount of money that's actually flowing in our economy. They control interest rates that banks are charged. They control the prime rate and the reserve requirements. And we end up with this system called fractional reserve banking. So there's a handout that we went over at first. So if you go back through that handout on the functions of money, that will cover most of that. And if I can figure out what happened to the video, I'll make sure that gets posted again later also. If you've started working on the Great Depression assignments, it should make some sense why the Federal Reserve does what it does. Part of the problem during the Great Depression was there was not a strong national banking system. So we had banks failing left and right. So this link to this Jamboard is included in your materials. It's got the actual link to the video that we just watched, first look inside the Federal Reserve. It does give you some of the background information about the Fed. So I know some of you at home probably missed that. So that's why this is in here. It's in your materials. Yeah, if you go into your stream, it will say Jay Alley posted an assignment. So this one is titled 3 Functions of Money Worksheet. Some of this will come directly from that first handout where we talked about the 3 key things that money must meet, the criteria for something to qualify as money in today's society. Then ask you about some questions about banking. There's also this particular handout in the materials that just talks about the Federal Reserve Bank itself, the Fed. Gives you some more background. Near the bottom of the first page, talks about having a centralized national authority. Got a board of governors that's in charge of it. You also have a Federal Open Market Committee. Federal Open Market Committee is the entity that buys and sells treasury bonds. When it buys bonds, it has one effect on the economy. When it sells bonds, it has the opposite effect. And then you can see in this first paragraph how the Board of Governors is comprised. The board has 7 members called governors who are appointed by the U.S. President and confirmed by the U.S. Senate. One of the things that a lot of people don't really like about the Fed is that it's technically not a part of the U.S. government. It's an independent bank. It's an independent agency. It's influenced by government. It has a lot to say about what government does and about our economy. But technically, it's not part of the normal 3-part system of government that we have in terms of the judicial, the executive, and the administrative. The legislative. Because its members are appointed by the president and confirmed by the Senate, and they are the ones that have all the say over what the Fed does, not Congress, not the president. The Open Market Committee is discussed in that handout. And should go through and read the rest of that. I've got to pause for a second here and find the map, because the map's going to help you with a lot of this. Okay, I should have just done this first. But part of what the Fed, why it's important is because of the way that it's structured and what it does. Tons of information about the Fed on the internet. If you look at any of these maps here, they will help you understand how the Federal Reserve banking system is organized. There are 12 different regional bank branches of the Fed. You see over here along the eastern seaboard, there are 6 kind of all jammed together. The further west you go, the fewer there are. Any idea why that might be the case? Well, where's most of the population in the U.S. centered? On the East Coast. Philadelphia, New York, Boston. Look at that. 1, 2, 3 right up here in these first 3 areas. Cleveland, down through the Virginias and the Carolinas. You get into the Midwest, a couple of different branches. In fact, if you look at any paper money in your wallet, I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not. But if you take paper money from your wallet, yeah, I know it's all green. It's not working. This is a $1 bill, but there is a symbol on this particular one with the big letter D, and around that symbol it says, see the letter D, says Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland. And if you notice, just next to that is the letter 4. This is another one of these things that the Fed has done to prevent counterfeiting. Cleveland is the Reserve Bank branch, and the letter D and the number that's next to it must coincide. So which letter of the alphabet is the letter D? It's the 4th. So if you see a bill that's got a letter that doesn't match with the number in terms of the order in the alphabet, it's probably a counterfeit. Now, Indianapolis, where we're at, we are actually in the Chicago region. Here's the Cleveland region. That's also happens to be region number 4. Okay, now that's starting to make sense. This is how they've organized the banking locations and tied it to how our money is put together. The sort of the codes that are built into our money to make sure that it's legitimate. Questions, anybody?
No yet.
Okay, well, the next thing that we will be talking about next week is not monetary policy, but fiscal policy. Fiscal policy involves taxation. Totally different bunch of people involved with that. So we'll be looking at how government collects money, how it spends money and all that sort of thing, and who's responsible for all that. So that's it for today. I'm sorry about the confusion. So if you've got any questions, be sure to text me about it once we're done here. I'll try to figure out what happened with the class link earlier. Tomorrow, videos from Tuesday and today will both get posted. So, and I'll let everybody know where that YouTube link is. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks for being here.
Okay, thank you. See you next Tuesday.
Ruth and Danielle, thanks for being persistent and hanging in there this morning.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for letting me know it was a problem.
Bye. Have a good weekend, Miss J, Mr.
All right.
J.
Thank you. See you later.